Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm not sure if you know this, but I learned something really cool this morning. If you need to get somewhere really important and you want to get there at least 20, 25 minutes early, the Uber app will actually let every driver in the area know, and they can cancel on you, so it'll be at least 5 minutes late. All right, so I'm Martel Bell, and I'm with Knight Consulting. And so our mission is to provide tangible resources and opportunities to Black, Latino, and Native communities and its respective members. And so this is a really big problem to deal with. And so there are very many facets to be tackled. But here's one problem that we're currently tackling. The rate of degree attainment amongst Black, Latino, and Native students has been lagging compared to their respective population. So Black and Native students' engineering degree attainment has remained consistently below 5% for the past couple of decades. And though it's a little bit higher compared to Black and Latino communities, Native student degree, I had it backwards. Latino students still only make up 10 to 12% of engineering degrees earned annually. And so all of these groups suffer from low rates of retention, low rates of representation, and many are first generation students, so they are behind in knowing how to navigate these same spaces. And so we have solutions for our customers, but our customers are education administrators and students and participants. Education administrators are people like principals, heads of correctional institutions, businesses, job training programs, and community service organizations. And these are the people who actually review our course content and sign off on the material. And so our students and participants are obviously the people who are going to actually directly experience what we have to deliver and receive our feedback in order to improve our programs. And so here are some of our solutions. One, we'd like to implement problem and project-based curriculum. This curriculum increases rates of retention by directly involving students in the problems that they're there to solve. And so we also like to implement a culturally relevant pedagogy. And in this, students improve their academic success, cultural competence, and socio-political awareness. We also like to leverage the identity of our staff as Black, Latino, and Native people to improve student learning outcomes. And this is supported by the 2018 Johns Hopkins study that states that if a Black student has at least one Black teacher by the time they complete third grade, they're 13% more likely to attend and complete college. This is increased nearly threefold to 36% if that same student has at least two Black teachers. Now we have a few advantages. One, we're led by a Black PhD student in mechanical engineering with a background and focus in engineering education. This will allow the expertise to implement different styles of pedagogy to produce the most effective outcomes. We also have the advantage of having a strategic partnership with a couple of different organizations, one being the League of United Latin American Citizens, and Trio Upward Bound, which is one of the largest pre-collegiate initiatives in the country for minority first-generation students. We also have a business-to-business revenue model that allows our programs to be free for our participants. Now, how do we know this all works? Before becoming an actual company, we did 3 years of testing with the sample population that we sourced through Upward Bound. In the first 2 years, we did a conference model where we held workshops and different speakers to students. And as we delivered these workshops, we did it in a way that incorporated the arts, humanities, and social sciences to be more relevant to the students' actual lives. And so after we ran each workshop and completed the conference, we got student feedback forms. We asked the students what they liked most, what they disliked the most, and what they would like to see different in what we delivered to them. All of these questions were confidential, so the Upward Bound staff wouldn't see any of these answers to the questions, so that students could be more honest with Ignite about what they actually wanted to see. And so, again, our revenue model is a business-to-business contract model. And so we negotiate with the customer, which would be the educational institution, or in this case, Trio Over Bound, about what they would like to see, how often they would like to see it, what content needs to be covered, and the cost to be paid for these services. Now, to date, this model has been really successful, and we've raised up to $8,000 in revenue. And our normal costs for each event or program are hourly paid for employees, which are workshop directors and people who help on the actual day of the event. This is around 50% of our costs. Event and program materials, such as, in one case, we bought microcontrollers for a circuit workshop, and this is usually between 10 and 20% of our revenue. And travel and miscellaneous costs. These can be anything for up to like paper plates or anything that's forgotten or small details. Travel has been pretty low since we've remained in the Iowa City area for now, but that could change in the future. And traditionally, our profit margin has been around 20%. So we usually roll that over and invest it into programs for the next year. Not sure what happened to this slide. It looks a lot different. Well, this is the industry outlook. You can't read it, but I know some of the numbers off the top of my head. But the most interesting statistic that I want to share with you was the price per capita, or the amount that each company is willing to spend on a single student. Now, Iowa has led the country in the amount of money spent per student for the past, I want to say, 5 to 7 years, and that's $188 per student, which is, I believe, 204% higher than the national average of around $50. Iowa also has a tremendous lead on the amount of revenue per location, which is 604% higher than the national average, which is 13.3 million, and the national average is somewhere around 2.1 billion. So I learned that Iowa is the actual perfect place that you want to be if you're in the education consulting. Now, some of our next steps. Currently, we've been running conferences. Our flagship conference is called Engineering Success Conference, where we run these programs that are intertwined with arts, humanities, and STEM. But next, we want to develop additional programs, and we're already doing that. Some of our next programs focus on mental health and entrepreneurship. We'd also like to expand to alternative high schools within the next 12 months, and expand to colleges and universities within the next 2.5 years, doing teacher training and other services to help our professors administer material more efficiently and in a more culturally I can't talk to it. A more culturally relevant way. Thank you. Questions?
What has your feedback from students been?
We've received a mixed array of feedback, some expected, some unexpected. So there's one workshop where we had surgery simulators where the students actually got to operate on, let's just say, if we had a fracture simulator where the kid breaks their elbow, it usually breaks in this region called the condyle. And so the surgeons actually have to drive wires across the fracture in order to reduce it. There's a surgery simulator to actually do that. For one student, I remember this feedback vividly. She said, I absolutely hated this workshop. When I came in, I wanted to be a doctor, and this thing was so scary that I now know I don't want to. So she came back the next year. I believe she was a sophomore when we ran that workshop, and she was still excited to come back because she loved all the workshops that we ran. And so this helped her sort out the decision of her career path.
Very interesting, thank you. With so many, it seemed like varying topics for your seminars, are they constructed in a way that they can be reused and built upon for the next time? And how are you identifying what topic of the seminar will be?
Well, yes, we do construct it in a way where it can be reused. So for example, this year we did a workshop on drone computer vision systems. And so we did that in a way that combined the game of telephone Agree with that? Yeah, where you pass down a message and at the end it changes. So that can be reused again and again because the structure of a computer vision system in a drone won't change. And we can modify the way students participate based on the number of students that we have, based on their actual age level. So we can make it either more in depth or less in depth if we're working with elementary kids or high school kids. And in a way that also builds upon it, so we can add different elements of the computer vision system and the game won't change fundamentally. Now, the way that we decide what material is going to be covered is based upon a couple of things. The expertise that we have in the room. So we develop a lot of our workshops in-house, but we also seek out experts who are outside the organization that we're partnered with. So another example of that would be first year, we had a dance PhD come in and teach what happened in the computer code of a Tesla when it crashes on self-driving. Now, I wouldn't be able to do that just being an engineer, but someone who's really proficient in dance theory can actually do that. Hope I answered the question.
What are your metrics for success? Are you looking for more student engagement, or are you so far that you're looking for like graduation rates, or like what are you looking for there?
So the way we measure success is largely dependent on our clients. So we source a lot of our kids from Trio Upperbound, and they have their own in-house metrics. So we consult with them and provide programs based on what they want to see. A lot of the times it's just engagement. We have the advantage of being led by an engineer. We have the technical expertise to be able to deliver material that a lot of people don't have in-depth knowledge in. And so if Upperbound, let's just say they want to see more engagement, we will actually change the material to be more interactive, which is why we do project and problem-based learning. That's what we traditionally been asked for, is just make it fun and engaging so that students aren't sleeping. I don't want to talk about computer code.
I apologize if you already said this and I missed it, but where does your revenue come from? Does it come from students or from a high school or other institution?
Yeah, so we do business contracts. So a lot of our revenue comes from Upperbound. They actually provide money and
What's Upperbound?
Upperbound is a government-funded pre-college program for minority under-resourced students. And so we've actually won some funding for pitch competitions. We've actually also received donations. And so those are different sources of our revenue.
And what is your cost and what do you charge up or down or whoever else you may work with?
So that depends on a few things: number of students, how many workshops they would like to see, you know, how long the event is. So we've done events that was a couple of hours long, and we've done events that were, you know, a full day long. So that just changes, but it hasn't been more than like $2,000. I think was our most expensive year. That included like t-shirts, pamphlets before the event, so let the students know what's going to happen that day, food, and those sorts of things.
About Upward Bound, it sounds like it's the main source of the funding. Is that something that's, how long has that been around? Is that like just like a short-term thing, is that around forever? How much more can you tap into that?
Yeah, the Upperbound has been around for, I want to say 65 years, so it's a really established program. We've actually just approved a 5-year partnership for a new program we have, which is called Upperbound Math Science. So it's a pretty steady revenue stream right now, and we're hoping to keep tapping into that as well as looking into new partners.
Do you have any partnership with the local chapter of the NAACP?
I don't. I will look into that. Thanks for mentioning.
Me too.
What is your biggest
Our biggest competitors are our partners. So Upperbound will technically be a competitor, but we don't. With our mission being to uplift communities, we like to look at potential competitors as potential partners. So one would be, like I said, Upperbound, even LULAC, STEM Innovator, EdTech, and things like that. But again, we're always looking at opportunities to work together with people doing the same thing that we are.
I was interested, you mentioned about just like the Iowa statistics and how it's a great place to start a business and how we invest so much in our students and stuff. I was curious on that, you know, how how do Iowa students perform nationwide? Are we like number one because we spend the most, or are we like middle of the road? And then kind of additional question to that is there also an effect on minorities? Is it better because we spend more like compared to a state that spends less? Are we at least a little bit ahead of the curve in regards to what the problem we're trying to solve?
As far as student performance in schools, I'm not sure about the numbers on that. But the amount of the numbers that I presented to you all was in the like educational consulting and management industry or something like that. I don't know if that's it exactly. But I don't recall seeing any numbers like that, but that's definitely something that I think would be valuable.
So again, sorry if you already said this, but are you doing consulting or are you teaching projects, teaching classes?
A little bit of both. So we approach the client and ask them what they want to see. That's the consulting aspect of it. We also implement the solutions that we develop for our client. So that can look like teaching. So far, it's been workshops, not necessarily like traditional classroom teaching, but things that really engage the students and get them excited about, excited and exposed to new emerging topics.
In your presentation, you said that you wanted to expand to colleges. What would those workshops look different than the ones that are targeted to high school students?
Yeah, so with the college programs, I'm thinking more of the administration side of things. So we want to teach professors how to teach a pedagogy that is more, I'd say culture, this is where I'll be having trouble with. That's more relevant to the student populations and their identities. We're also, with the research that I do as a PhD student, I'm also looking into a trauma-based pedagogy where it's more sensitive to students and communities who experience high levels of trauma and just helping them thrive through the adversity that they experience.
So, and nice job. I mean, I think we're forward thinking and stuff. And that slide you had with no thing on there, you might be leaving us wanting more because I think there's some amazing, and you know, Wallace Foundation has some amazing stuff that they're doing grant wise and research wise. Bruce, of course, what you're doing and stuff. I just describe a little more. Kind of follow up the question. Your reach into the high school zone. Right? Community colleges, the TRIO program. Can you describe that a little more? Because I want, and then I have a follow-up question.
And so you're asking, how do we actually source our students?
Yeah, how do you reach into the K-12 sector, you know, reach those classroom students, teachers?
So we use our partner organizations to do that. So far, we've worked in 5 different high schools and served over 250 students or something like that. And we use organizations like LULAC and Upperbound, tell them what we're doing. And since, you know, I'm only one person and also partnered with the National Society of Black Engineers to source talent. And so we tell them what we want to do based on what they want to see, and then they go into the high schools with their teams and let the students know and get them signed up. That's how it's been working so far. But I've been trying to figure out a different way to reach further.
We have other groups like Waukee Free School District in the Des Moines area, their APEX Center, it's called the Innovation Center.
No, I
It's
have
nationally known. Yeah, I connect with them LinkedIn here, so we should talk, and I know you can see your connect with Mohammed as well.
Okay.
We've talked about some of this stuff, and that's kind of why I don't know anybody unless Liz is here. But hi, Liz. But the reason I'm here is I work with Des Moines University, but we work with educators and principal administrators, help teachers get their licenses done.
Mhm.
I think what you're talking about is what we need to be doing too, you know, in a more deliberate way, helping to develop principal administrators, building administrators that know how to lead from a future of work perspective. And I think as a mark, you just, you know, I'd be glad to help steer you in the right direction. There's some amazing things happening in K-12 that are putting, I think, yes, more private institutions to shame on the pedagogy they're doing, the learning models, the networks they're developing within the outside the K-12 sector. So, yeah, that's, yeah, well, we'll talk more.
I'd love to chat. I appreciate it.
Can you, help me understand what specific, like what would it mean to tailor pedagogy for, healthcare or trauma?
For culture, it would be including things that, is more relevant to the lives of the students. It doesn't necessarily have to be that student's culture. So you want to establish things like cross-cultural communication. I got the word this time. You want to establish things like that, and these things that they're interested in. So, for example, there's a program developed by a professor down at Georgia Tech on communication with, called Ear Sketch. And so this program teaches students computer coding Python through remixing different styles of music. So she has, for Black students, they remix a lot of Caribbean music, rap music, and music that the students themselves like. She has another program, the same program actually, Ear Sketch, for Latino students, and there's different types of music, from big band music to reggae music and things like that. For trauma, that's been the thing that hasn't been researched nearly as much. I looked into this with my engineering education research, and I've only been able to find maybe 3 major and relevant papers on how to implement a trauma-based pedagogy. So that can just look like how the teacher actually supports the students. So let's just say there's a student in an elementary school class that acts out a lot. Instead of giving that student attention or suspending them, it can look like giving them work in a way that's more feeding off of their trauma response to whatever stimuli makes them act up. So it's a way of just supporting that student. That's just one of the ways. I know there's many different ways to implement trauma-based pedagogy, but that's what it could look like.
I did a lot of work with Black and Latino students, and one of the things that we worked really hard on in my high school was the trauma surrounding racial differences and just hate crimes, quite frankly. And that really develops differently in people of color who have gone through those hate crimes and gone through like that trauma throughout their schooling experience, because these things are things like microaggressions in the hallways and things like that. So that would be a really good place for research to be conducted. And I have some resources for that if you'd like.
Yes, and it's a really under-researched area.
Yeah.
We do have a comment in the chat here. Ashley, feel free to unmute whenever.
Okay, I just want to let you know that a potential partnership for you could be the Society of Professional or Hispanic Professional Engineers, SHPEP. They have grants and scholarships for students of Latinx or like the Latinx Hispanic community. And I just felt like that'd be something that'd be beneficial for you to be aware of.
Thank you so much for that, Ashley. And yes, I have partnered with SHIP in the past on different programs unrelated to Ignite. And I know this year, returning from COVID, they had a tough year, just with getting back in the swing of things. And they're definitely on my radar and working with them this coming year.
Okay.
Excellent. Any other questions? If not, I will ask our traditional final question. What can these community do to help you?
Yes, I'm always looking for people from different backgrounds who are, maybe outside of engineering to partner with and actually do different workshops with. So if you're interested or know someone who may be interested, I greatly appreciate that. And outside of that, just support and keep the questions coming, because I really appreciate a lot of the things that you all ask. And it gets me even thinking about a lot of stuff that maybe I hadn't considered before.
All right. Thanks so much.